What's up, Saints Today? Welcome back to another episode of Music and Makeup. This is a special segment I like to call Behind the Beat, where I sit down with artists who are making serious noise in their lanes. Today, I'm joined by an award-winning producer who was recently honored as Producer of the Year at the Forest City London Music Awards. We're going to talk about his career as a producer and his upcoming project with G4Jag. Welcome to the podcast, Imperetiv.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Hi, thank you so much for being on the show. For folks who might not be familiar with you, how did you get your start in production?
So I was actually a competitive snowboarder before music, and in skateboarding and snowboarding, there's a lot of music in the video. So I was always drawn to hip hop and always shown hip hop in the music videos. I was filming for a snowboard video. I hit a jump and I landed with my knee in my face and collapsed my eye socket. And it kind of changed things and the trajectory of things. So from there, I was looking for a creative outlet. And at the time, my brother had just moved to the same city where I was, which is Vancouver, BC. He was going to school for audio production. He was dabbling in hip hop. And I was like, you know what? It was just like a timing thing. Kanye dropped My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and which was a lot of big inspiration and motivation. So I was like, I'm going to do this. This is going to be my new creative outlet. It's a little less high impact on the body. You know, I might get some carpal tunnel syndrome, but no broken bones. And so that was kind of the start. And when I started, I just put in my mind, this is what I'm going to do. And I literally just went all out, put in my 10,000 hours, still putting in my 10,000 hours, probably a year, if not more, and just trying to pursue this.
Growing up, what were some of the sounds or producers that influenced your ear?
When I first got into hip hop, Kanye was like one of the first. Ski Beats was another. He was doing a lot of stuff with Currency at the time, the Pilot Talk projects. Boy Wonder from Canada, that's Drake's main producer. And then from there, you know, really went into like The Alchemist, who's still a really big one. One of the first CDs I ever bought was Cypress Hill, so that's DJ Muggs. And I probably didn't even realize that at the time, but now DJ Muggs is a huge inspiration. Growing up in Canada, I was telling someone last night in the studio, I lived in a city called Angus, Ontario, and it's a very small town that, you know, it's very isolated. It was near a military base. Like I had Dance Mix 95, Salt and Pepper was my first cassette. My music at that age was so eclectic, like it was just all over the place until skateboarding came in. And that's where I think one of the first things that really changed in the sound was when I heard Big L snowboard video. Just hearing his voice, I was like, what is this? And that really changed things a lot too.
I wanted to congratulate you too on winning Producer of the Year at the Forest City London Music Awards. How did that recognition feel for you?
It was a big moment. The London, Ontario is in the Forest City London Music Awards is one of the only city-based awards. So I lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. That's where I started music. I was there for 11 years. There's no awards there. It's kind of like, well, there's the West Awards, so that's all of Western Canada, but there's no city specific. And in Vancouver, even being a major city, didn't have any specific awards like that. And so the next jump is the Junos, which is like Canadians, Grammys. So there's not like a whole lot in between. And so being recognized after doing music for 10 plus years as a producer of the year, it couldn't have been a better time, but it was an amazing feeling, really. The song was Better Days with the homie Jay Roberts that featured Elvis from Buffalo and Rashid Chappelle. And so that was what the song that they recognized, and I've leveraged it huge. Outside of music production, I work on a podcast myself. I do Rap Career Growth podcast with the homie Kyle Kraft, and we talk a lot about leveraging awards and the reason to submit to awards outside of just getting a nomination or a win. All in all, it was a really great feeling. I wore a red suit in ode to Kanye. I hired a photographer and a videographer. I didn't even know I was going to win. I just went in with that mentality that I'm going to win. I already won, and it all played out that way.
Ontario has its own hip hop scene. How would you describe a music scene?
I mean, it's bubbling with a lot of talent. It's very different, I think, than what is used to in the States. There's a lot of talent out here right now. And I think the move from the West Coast for me to where I am now, London, which is, for perspective and context, it's about 2.5 hours outside of Toronto. So, being in London has its own small scene, but I do work with most artists in Toronto. That's where the major hub is. It is maybe a little bit more cleaner in a sense, say compared to the States. I think like the urban culture here is still growing, especially in places like in Toronto. It's been there. It's been there since I want to say Vince Carter and the Raptors, if not before. But West Coast, it's still growing there, and it's still. I'm trying to pick my words very carefully.
I got you.
I'm selective with who I work with, and I've been blessed with the artists I work with are very talented. But it is different. I guess that's the easiest way of putting it, the nicest way of putting it, politically correct way of putting it. It's different.
Early on, who were some of the artists that you first locked in with that helped you get your name moving or get your name out there?
I posted a song. It was actually a music video, and someone hit me up on asking me to do videography, and I was like, "Yo, you're a rapper. I'm actually a producer too. I don't just do videos." And from there, we locked in. His name is Jay West, and from there, we became very close friends. I was the best man in his wedding, and we took off fairly fast in a local scene. And we were recognized by Hip Hop Canada as an emerging act. We were one of the first paid acts for Blueprint, which was booking and talent sort of for shows out in Vancouver. And life hit, and he decided to move on from music. And but he was one of the first. There was the homie Jado. It was a lot of local cast. And then come 2018, worked with an act that performed alongside of but never worked with. His name's Junk. Very talented rapper, freestyler. He's out in Europe right now doing his thing. I know he's just on tour with Conway the Machine. He could freestyle this entire interview we're doing right now. I'm talking just in English, but he would be free like that. He's super talented. And then, from there, kind of crossing into this, really finding my niche, which is this underground hip hop scene, which you're known for. And that's why I reached out to you. G4Jag, we connected in 2020. Rick Hyde connected. Ace on Eastwood here in Toronto. And that was sort of the early, and then still, it's, I've been doing this for 10 plus years, but it's always kind of new. Like it was way different back then versus 28. It was like chapters. There's the 2010 to about 2018, then 2018 to 2020. And then I'm in this whole new sort of chapter right now.
I've worked with a lot of people, and we're going to get into that a little later. So your latest single, Circus, and one of those people we're going to talk about is G4Jag, and your latest single, Circus, with Elbiz. How did you all start working together?
So G4, it was really interesting stories. Like I had some artwork with a cherub holding two Uzis. And then I was just flipping Instagram and I came across his profile. And at that time, he had just released an album with a cherub wearing his signature plague mask. And I hadn't even heard music yet. I literally just sent a DM on Instagram and I was like, yo, man, we should make a project just based off our artworks alone. And just having my Uzi with my cherub Uzis and his cherub with the plague mask. And from there, we just started talking. He has his crew, Fly Family, which I'm now a part of and a member of, and he's part of Lord Mob. And so Elbiz is also a member of Fly Family. And so building on this Fly Family brand and name and group and collective, that's where that song came from and that kind of connection.
Circus is the third single off the upcoming album, Alive. How's that all coming together?
We're taking our time, and we have 10 to 12 songs right now. I think we're in the final phases. We're waiting on some last minute features. We've just been taking our time. The landscape in music and releasing is really changing right now. There was the big change in 2015 to streaming. And then now a lot of artists are just kind of realizing, streaming's good to reach the masses, but it doesn't actually pay. And not that it's all about money, but as artists, we need to be sustainable because making music is not a cheap endeavor by any means. So we are just being very strategic in how we release things. So we dropped Circus, and then after that, we dropped Better Days, which I want to say is about a month ago. But we did a live show And it was the first time I DJ'd for G, and we had a majority of the Fly family there, and we performed Better Days for the first time with his brother, his real brother, Mercy the Harlem Kid. And the song just did very, very well. Like the crowd was singing the hook back to us, and they'd never even heard it before. So we came back after that show, and we're like, that's the next single. We're like, that's the one. We have lots of music in the chamber right now we could release. We're just being very strategic and on that. But the album will be coming soon, very soon.
And how did you all come up with the title Alive? What is that, the background behind that?
Alive came, that was G4Jag. He has a series called the Survivor Series. And a lot of that was kind of like, a little bit, I want to say like in the shadows, a little bit darker music. And this era in his life, changes that he's going through as a man, as an artist. And this is his era of being alive. And it's a little bit more bringing more light and just being alive and living. So that one came from him. I was like, it's got to be alive with an exclamation mark. So that's my claim on the title, is I added the exclamation point.
For the song Circus, for that concept, was that G4Jag's idea yours, or just a vibe that you all developed together?
That one was a combination. I had an opportunity to go down and meet G4 and record in the studio. And I hadn't seen him record, like a lot of times, because I'm up in Canada and he's down in the States. I'm sending a beat, he'll record it. But we went into the studio, and I think he wrote and recorded 4 to 5 songs in one session. Like it was impressive, to say the least. But he just rapped. And this is one thing about my beats, is my beats typically bring out a rapper to rap. And that's ultimately my goal. Is, I'm a big into the lyricism and just rapping as an art form itself. And I usually leave a lot of space for the artist to do what they're going to do. And I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but I want to say he goes off for 48 bars plus. He just raps. And then at the end, because it's such a celebratory, triumphant sort of sample, I said to him that I felt that we should have Elbiz on the hook singing. And so I sent Elbiz the concept and that, and he came back. And then I kind of made the decision to space it out. I was like, hey, G4 raps for that long. We got to let it breathe a little bit. And then it comes in, and it's unexpected. You're like, okay, the song's winding down, is going to die. And then Elbiz just comes in, and Elbiz is incredible when it comes. He's a very talented rapper, but when it comes to hooks, he's unmatched. One thing I was explaining to some artists that were in the studio, one thing I've been using a lot lately, so this is a little tidbit for like any other producers who might be listening, and you might use this in the makeup. Are you familiar with the Fibonacci sequence? It's like the God sequence, that picture where it's like a spiral.
Uh-huh.
So it's mathematics, and they would say that it's like the God equation, essentially, and that's what makes everything perfect. And it's mathematics, and you can apply it to music. So one thing I've been applying a lot to music lately is a phi moment, which uses the mathematics of the Fibonacci sequence. So I use AI, ChatGPT, and I'm like, hey, this song is this long. Where would the phi moment be? And it tells me where a moment would be that's supposed to be special and unique that you wouldn't hear anywhere else in the song. So that's something I've been using a lot, and I'm pretty confident I use that in Circus as well.
G4Jag is a strong lyricist. How do you balance your sound with his style to create that cinematic energy?
I think it comes down to space, is leaving enough space. He's a powerful rapper, but he's a very baritone voice, right? So when you're looking on the spectrum of sound, you have so much that you can keep in the low end. Otherwise, it's going to be clashing with his voice. And then you have a little bit more in the high end. So it's really just about leaving enough space for him and creating a canvas that's going to allow him to speak. And we'll go back and forth on tracks. Like we're going back and forth on one track right now. I sent him, and I kind of forgot to tell him how I sequenced it. And then he's like, oh, I didn't even know that. I did it like this. But then we meet in the middle. And one of the things with the artist I work, especially G4, is he trusts that I'm good at what I do, and I trust that he's good at what he does. I don't think there's ever been a time where I'm like, yeah, can you change that? And I don't think there's really been a time where he might not like every single beat I make, but the ones we find, I'm like, I'll send it. He's like, oh, he's like, my sound.
You're producing this entire album. How do you maintain cohesion across different tracks while still keeping like the sound of the album fresh?
A big thing is just knowing his sound, knowing G4 and knowing the concept, knowing the title Alive and knowing what the meaning is behind that helps craft that. And then once we start going with a couple songs, it allows me to really hone in on the sound that's going to work with those other songs. As I'm slowly piecing it together and sending him a beat and he's sending me a track back, I can hear how it's building. And ultimately, when we get to the end, we'll do something called gapless playback. So with each song, it's going to sound like it's one song. And that's the ultimate goal. Is a lot of times when you hear an album, it's like, okay, song's done, the next one starts. I really enjoy doing a gapless playback because it flows and it makes the entire thing. And so finding creative movie quotes or different like random sounds that kind of blend it all in together.
You two have built a real chemistry. What do you think your sound and his style click so well together?
It's just understanding of each other. I think like we started talking in 2020. I don't think the first song released until like 2021, and he was kind of just a feature on that. He kind of gave the beat to someone else, but it just took time and learning and understanding. And I think he saw that I wasn't just there to like take a verse from him and then move on, that it was really a long-term commitment and like belief in his craft, and in turn seeing everything I was doing. So when we actually got to meet each other, I think that changed things too. And it was like we had already known each other, but we went out, he bought dinner, and then we had a ton of laughs. And so like, you just meet each other's personalities and you get to understand each other. And I think that understanding on a more human and personal level translates into the music. And I think it just, it allows an openness too and of communication, because I can send him something and be like, there's one song that you'll hear on the album, and I put it on, and he told me after, he's like, I didn't like it. And he's like, but I did it because you told me to. And he's like, now that I did it, it's one of my favorite songs. I think you hear things from the other person that they may not even know for themselves. We're usually all inside of our own brain, and we have an idea of what we think we sound good on and what works for us. But when you have someone that has that outside perspective, they can contribute in a way that you wouldn't have been able to yourself.
You've worked with a variety of artists across all types of sounds. How do you decide who you want to collaborate with?
A lot of it comes down to the sound for sure, but a lot of it comes down to work ethic. If you're not working at a similar level or pace that I am, then it's not mutually beneficial. And when I started doing this, I made the decision that I'm all in. If you're not all in, like you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna release a track here and there, what's the point? Like you might be the talented, but then we'll release it and then it will just fade away into the rest of the noise. So I truly look for people that have the same passion and drive that I do. There is the odd occasion where talent, but it's the saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. So, I'm finding an equal balance of both.
So what is next for you? Any other projects or collaborations you can share with our audience?
Sure. On that drive, I have a ton in the vault right now. G4Jag and I actually have a whole other project we finished before Alive with another artist. I have a project that's kind of sitting there with Asan Eastwood from Toronto. I have a full project done with Dante out of Toronto. That one's crazy. It's an art project. It's called Soliloquy of a Sociopath. It's a full concept album. We kind of leaned into the whole theater and acting sort of thing. I've got a project. I think I'm going to rework it with Block Lord. And then I'm working on my own project, High Hopes and Lucid Dreams, which is a follow-up to my project, Barrel Plots and Pyramid Schemes. Just started some music with Sazy. I've got like an EP with Pretty Bully, who's someone you should maybe check out and maybe get her on the show.
Okay, yes, send the ladies my way.
Yeah, she's from Buffalo. She's very, very talented. I'm doing like a side project where every sample I use has like a weird, annoying synth sound in it. And so it's like, I want to kind of give it like a technology type name, but every sample uses like a synthesizer of some sort. It's kind of like a Rock Marciano. Like I find when Rock Marciano produces joints, there's always like an annoying sound where you're like, that's annoying, but it sounds so good.
I look forward to hearing that.
Yeah.
So last but not least, what's one piece of game you'd like to drop for any upcoming producers? What's some advice that you'd give someone that was just starting out?
Put your time in and love what you do. There is more to music than just producing. And there's a whole back end of music business, which I know is the boring part that we all want to leave behind. But it's those things that when you do it will allow you to keep going. Like I said, if you're not making money, you're going to get discouraged. So you need to handle your royalties. You need to handle your business and find a way to put your creativity that you put in your beats and your productions into that business side. You can do it, and just love what you do. And truly love it, then you're never going to lose.
Well, let our audience know where they can find you on the internet and social media and whatnot.
Yeah, you can find me across all platforms. I am Peretiv. That's Imperetiv. Listen to the kid.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Before we go, I just want to give you your flowers because I think I came across your platform on TikTok, and I just think everyone listening should know this. I think you have a great platform. I think you're doing something very special, and I wish you all the success. And I really appreciate you bringing me onto your platform. But I truly believe in what you're doing. So much like I look for artists, I look for platforms that I believe in also, and I think you're one of those. So thank you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I needed that. I really did. I needed that today. So I really appreciate that because sometimes it's like, what am I even doing? And is this even making any sense? I appreciate that. That sentiment really made my day. So thank you. That just really touched me. I appreciate that so much. So again, thank you so much, for coming and pulling up and talking to us about your career and your upcoming project with G4Jag. And you all make sure you all go check it out when it drops. I put all of his information down in the description box. If you've enjoyed this conversation, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until next time, Saints and Ain'ts, love you. Bye.